let's clean this up now and make it a bit better. So what I'm gonna do, like, I'm gonna remove the bottom shade. I'm gonna cut all the code and I'm gonna add it in column, and I'm gonna remove the container because for now I'm not liking that box decoration stuff. So I'm gonna select the container, Alt Enter, and it gives me an option to remove this widget. So it has been removed now, and as you can see, like, there's the row that has been created, and there will be some, it will be close to the row. So to give some distance, I'm gonna use the size box. Size box is used to give us some padding or margins between two widgets. So how it's gonna work, like, since it's a part of the column, so column's gonna add text field, then size box, and the size box has like some kind of like 10 pixels height, and then it's gonna add that row and align these two buttons horizontally. So let's run it again and see what comes up. And now let's start working on text fields. So what we're gonna do, like, the first thing, we're gonna add some validation, and if it's not valid, then we're gonna show an error, and if it's valid, then we're not gonna show any error. So what I'm gonna do now, like, let's try to add one more field, and we call it confirm password, and the confirm password also has an secure text. So what happens, like, we need to store the value in some kind of variable. So for that, we need to add a controller, and we're gonna define a text editing controller, and let's call it email controller, and we're gonna initialize it, and I'm gonna duplicate these. You can press Control Command D to duplicate the lines, and I'm gonna call it password, and this one's going to be confirm password controller. So these controllers will store the values, and this should be password controller, and this would be confirm password controller. Said validators, so I'm trying to add a validator, but it's giving me an error. The reason why it's giving me an error is because I need to wrap this inside a form. So what I'm gonna do now, like, I'm gonna wrap this widget inside a form, and that's gonna take care of all these things. So let's wrap it. Or I don't think like it's a good idea to wrap that column into a form, because column contains these two buttons. So I'm gonna try wrap this widget and then form. A form must have a key. So the key is like basically here to manage the state. So I'm gonna initialize it. And I'm gonna define it here. Let's make it private because we're not gonna need that outside of this form. And I think it's so like in that case we'll need to wrap these objects into a column as well then, because now if we wrap this inside a form, then it's going to treat this form as a single form, as a single widget. So it's not a good idea, I believe, for now. And let's take it out. And wrap the whole column into a form. And then form has a key. That is a form key. And now let's try to add validator. Change this from text field to a text form field. And now I can add a validator here, and a validator returns a value whatever is typed in into the text field. So we can play with the value. So for email address, let me just add two conditions that if I'm gonna make it really simple, I'm not gonna dig deeper. So if value contains at and value contains dot, it must be the opposite. So if it doesn't contains these two, I'll consider that it's not a valid email address. Of course, we can improve it by putting some regular expressions, but I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. We're gonna learn more about extension functions in next videos. So subscribe to my channel to get updates. So now what's gonna happen, like if we try to submit the form and when it's gonna validate, if email address is not valid, it's gonna give an error. So let's add these validators on both sides. So I'm gonna add this into password as well. And it's giving me an error because it's a text field, so let's change it to text form field and then change these conditions that if password is like less than 4, so I'll say it's an error. So I'll say, let's say that password too short, and let's add this into confirm password as well. But with confirm password, I'm gonna add one more condition. else if password controller text dot to string is equal to, does it string has equals method here? No. So what are the possible values here? It doesn't have an equal method. So I'm gonna match it this way, and see, like if it doesn't matches with the confirm password controller, so it's gonna return passwords do not match, otherwise it says return null. And now still it's not gonna work because we need to validate the form at some point. So as we have already created that on pressed but click listener, so I'm gonna just delete that old part and I'm gonna validate. So form key dot current state, that gets the state of the form, and validate. So when this function will trigger, it's gonna check, it's gonna run the validators on all fields, and if it satisfies all the conditions, then it's fine. Otherwise this will return error. So let's try to hot reload it. We've got 3 fields, and I press the button and you can see that it's giving error, email address is not valid, password too short. So let's try to add something. I'm just gonna type John and ABC1, that's 4 characters, but in confirm password I'll type ABC2, and let's verify. Now it's giving passwords do not match because here I typed ABC2 and here I typed ABC1, and you can see that password field is error free, but email is still not valid because it doesn't contain at and .com. So I'm just gonna type test@test.com. So now we don't see any error with the email, but still we need to match the passwords. So I'm gonna just remove 2 and replace it with 1, and all the errors has been removed. So that's all about the form states and the key states. Now in the next video, what we're gonna do is like we're gonna change the state of forms. Like, so when user clicks sign up, we're gonna remove the login button, and when user presses the login button, I'm gonna remove sign up, and I'm gonna remove confirm password field for login menu, and also I'm not gonna validate confirm password. So how this can be achieved, we're gonna find out in next video. If you have any questions, please type in comments, and do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates. Thank you.